Hello there and welcome to this DevOps series on Ansible. This is Rahul, and in this series we will be talking about Ansible, where we will be starting from the ground zero, where I'm not expecting you to have any kind of a knowledge on Ansible before. And just to give you the glimpse like what we will be covering throughout this series on Ansible. So we will first start by installing the Ansible on our server, and then gradually try to understand like how to write your own playbooks, how to play with the inventories, how to play with the host file, how to write your own task in Ansible. And once we are familiar with those concepts, then we will gradually increase our level, where we will be writing the automation playbook for a Google Cloud Platform or AWS, which are the most popular cloud service providers. So in the upcoming weeks, you will see a lot of similar sessions on Ansible onto this channel. So please stay tuned for that. Now back to the important question, like what the Ansible is. So Ansible is an open source tool which help you majorly with the three tasks. So the first task is the software installation. So with the help of Ansible, you can automate the task of installing software onto various servers. Second, it can help you to manage the server configuration. And what does it mean? So with the help of management of a server configuration, you can add a new configuration, you can update any existing configuration, and even you can delete the configuration of a server. The third thing, and which is the most important thing, is you can deploy your web application or any kind of application on a server, and you can even automate that task using the Ansible. Alright, so I don't want to stuff you with a lot of theory about Ansible, and why don't we switch to our desktop and see a very small playbook where we will try to see like how we can automate the installation of a software packages using the Ansible. And also we will see if we don't have an Ansible, then how we are going to install a software package on a server, so that you can get the understanding like if you have an Ansible, then how you will automate the task, and if you don't have the Ansible, then how you are going to handle those tasks. So let's switch over to my desktop and see that small Ansible playbook. Alright, let's try to understand the scenario where you don't have an Ansible with you. So how you're gonna install the software packages. So here onto the screen, if you will see on the left hand side, I have some script which is like installing Python and creating a directory, and also installing an Apache 2 server. And on the right hand side, if you'll see, this is my remote server with an external IP which I have highlighted in the red color font. So that's the remote server where I'm just gonna execute this command. And since I don't have an Ansible with me, so what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna use the simple SSH method to log in into the server and execute these commands, so that I can install Python, I can install Apache 2, and also I can create the directory. So this is the way I'm just gonna do if I don't have the Ansible. The next thing which I'm just gonna show a glimpse of an Ansible playbook, where we are just going to automate all these tasks into a single playbook, which is we call it as an Ansible playbook. Alright, moving to the Ansible part. So this is the smallest Ansible playbook which I have for this particular very short demo. So I'll start from the top over here. So here you can see this is the first task which I have written over here for installing the Python. So here, one disclaimer I would like to give you here. This is an introductory part. Here I'm just trying to explain the difference between if you don't use Ansible and when you use Ansible. So don't try to remember everything over here, because we will take a deep dive look into the each file, inventory, task, and the playbooks into the later session. And also we will take a look on how to install the Ansible also. So we will start from that particular stage where we don't have the Ansible installed onto our system. Here I'm just trying to explain the difference between when you don't have an Ansible and when you have an Ansible. So what are the changes you will see? Okay, so now coming back over here, so this is the first task which I have written into my Ansible playbook, which will install the Python onto my remote server. Second, this is the task for creating the directory. This is the third task for installing the Apache 2 server. So here you will see the differences. So if you go back to our presentation deck where I have shown you, so here you will see the one-liner commands. So these one-liner commands are not self-explanatory unless and until you know or you have used those commands in the past. So here you will see, although it is really short, and although you can combine all these commands into a single shell script file, but it doesn't look so intuitive. If any other developer is working on to this bash script, then he will find a little bit of difficulty understanding those commands, because those are not so much they don't have the description behind them. But if you take a look over here into the Ansible playbook, so here, this is the first task. Here you have the name. This name is really self-explanatory, like what it is trying to do. Here is the second task where I'm also writing my own custom name, like create directory. I can explain furthermore, like what kind of a directory I want to create. And here is the third task where I'm just saying explicitly, hey, I'm trying to install the Python. So this is the main difference between the when you don't use Ansible and when you use Ansible. All right, so let's SSH into the server which is running remotely, and this is my terminal over here, if you can see. And the command which I'm just going to run is this one. So this is my SSH command, and this is the private key I'm using to SSH. In case if you are having a remote machine and you have a username and password, then you can use the putty also. Since I'm using the Mac machine, that's why I'm using the SSH command. But in case if you are using the Windows machine, then you can use the putty utility where you can just specify the external IP, your username and password. And in case if you are having a private key, then you can just simply add your private key over here, followed by the username and the external IP. So this is the way you can do the SSH into your remote machine. But anyways, so this is the way I'm just gonna do the SSH into my remote machine. And this IP is a little bit different from my initial PPT which I have shown to you, because I have started a new virtual machine. That's why I have got the new IP. So I'm just gonna execute this command. And here you can see I'm able to SSH into my remote server. All right. Now the next thing which we are gonna do, we are just gonna run those commands manually without using Ansible, so that we can analyze like what's the difference we observe between the without using Ansible and with using Ansible. So this is the bash script which I have written over here. So I'm just gonna manually run one by one command onto my terminal. So the first thing which I'm just gonna do, I'm just gonna do the apt get update, which is for updating the package manager of my Linux machine. Since I'm using Debian based Ubuntu, that's why I'm using the apt package manager. So I'm just gonna paste the command over here, and this is the way we are just gonna update the package manager. I'm just gonna speed up some of the commands. So first command has been executed. The next command which I'm just gonna run is the install Python. So I'm just gonna open the terminal once again. I'm just gonna paste it over here. So here I just wanted to show you like if you don't use the Ansible, then this is how you are just gonna set up your server, where you're just trying to install one package one after another. So here you can see the Python version is already by default installed, so it is not going to install the Python. Moving further, so here I'm just gonna create the directory. So this is the command. I'm just gonna paste it over here, and here I'm just gonna run the ls command, and here you can see this is the basic HTTP directory which has been created. All right, the next thing which I'm just gonna do, I'm just gonna copy the installation command for Apache server. I'm just gonna head over to my terminal over here. I'm just gonna paste the command. All right, so here you can see we have installed the Apache server. Now what we need to do is we need to enable the Apache. So this is the command which I'm just gonna use. So again, I'm just gonna go to terminal. I'm just gonna paste the command and hit enter. And here you can see we have started our Apache 2 server. The next thing which we're gonna do, we're just gonna verify the status of Apache. So I'm just gonna run systemctl. And here you can see the status of Apache 2 server service is green. That means we have successfully installed the Apache 2 server onto our Linux machine. Okay, so now you have seen the manual way when we don't have the Ansible with me. Then this is the way I'm just gonna install the software packages onto my remote server. Now I'm just gonna switch over to the Ansible way, where I'm just gonna run only single playbook, and that will install all these packages using the Ansible. Alright, so now we have seen the manual way of installing the software packages using the bash script, but now let's take a look onto the playbook once again. So this is the playbook which I have explained to you earlier, and the name of the playbook which I will be using for running this playbook is playbook.yml. This font might be small, but when I'll switch over to terminal, then I can show you the exact name. Okay, so I'm just gonna switch to my terminal, and this is the command which I'm just gonna run. So that starts with the keyword Ansible playbook. After that, you need to specify the remote host, which we call it as an inventory in Ansible. We will take a look in the later session for the inventory and the host. But just to keep you, just to give you a little bit brief, so this is the name of the host file actually. That means the remote machine. And this is the name of the playbook which I was referring to. I can show you the host file where I have made an entry for our remote machine. So if you go over here, so this is the host and this is the IP address of my remote machine or the remote server. So this is how the basic Ansible play look like. So this is the command which I'm just gonna execute, and you just simply need to hit enter. And if this is the first time you are connecting to your remote server, then it is going to ask, are you sure you want to connect? You simply need to type yes and hit enter. And then it will take maybe a couple of minutes or 3 minutes to complete the playbook. But meanwhile, I can show you some of the output which it generate to tell you that what task it has finished. So here you can see it is installing the Python. And here you can see the status change. That means it has installed the Python. The next task which it is doing, it is creating a directory. And the third task which it is doing is to install the Apache. And as soon as all the 3 tasks has been finished, and you will see a message over here that like 3 changed, OK 4. And you will not see any error message. That means your Ansible playbook has successfully finished. And now we can SSH into server and verify that it has installed the required packages which we have mentioned inside our Ansible playbook. Okay, so I have opened another terminal, and here I have mentioned the SSH command and the remote IP of my remote server. I'm just gonna simply hit enter. And here I'm into my remote machine, and here we can verify one by one. So first of all, I'm just going to run the ls command to verify the directory, and here you can see this directory has been created. The first thing which I forgot to check is the Python command. So I'm just going to run the command python 3 version, and here you can see Python has been installed. The third thing which I need to verify is the Apache 2 server. So I'm just going to run the systemctl status and Apache 2, and here you can see it has installed the Apache 2 also. So that means our Ansible playbook has finished the task and it has successfully installed all the 3 things which we have asked. Alright, so now we have taken a look onto the very small demo of Ansible, and I really felt that demo is really essential for you to understand the Ansible better. Now in the next session, we will take a look like why Ansible is called agentless, and also we are going to take a look like how to install Ansible onto your local machine so that you can run the Ansible playbook and you can just make a software installation, change config, and deploy your web application. So those are the topics which we are going to cover into the next session.